Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, wanted to thank you very much for joining today. I wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Madhav, Radha Shyam Sundar Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gaunitai Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembled devotees. So, we wanted to continue with trying to understand a little bit better Radharani, who is the embodiment of love. The ultimate development of love for God is Radharani. So what does that mean? That means she has complete love. Everything about every part of her, every quality of hers has full love for Krishna. Radharani is the ultimate repository of all good qualities. So we talked about the 25 qualities. Of course, Radharani has unlimited qualities, but we looked at the principal 25 qualities which she possesses. And she possesses those in full, so full that it even surpasses that of Krishna. When we speak of Radharani, we are speaking about the original feminine quality. And this is not the feminine quality that we can associate to the material world. This is different. So the male and female, so-called, of the spiritual world are not equated to the male and female of the material world. But there are, we could say, there are qualities which are similar. In this material world, we find male and female. And in the Old Testament, there's a description that God created mankind in his own image. And that is correct. We agree with that we are made in the image of the Lord, male and female. So this means ultimately that God in this sense is male and female. Female, that is Radharani, male, there is Krishna. But we shouldn't think that the female and the male form in the material world is exactly the same as that in the spiritual world. They're not. They're very, very different. They have some similarities, but ultimately in the spiritual world, they are fully spiritual. They have no material qualities whatsoever. Whereas here, male and female, generally we're speaking about the material qualities, not the spiritual qualities. The female is coming from Krishna, the original cause. And what is she? So the original cause of everything is Krishna. From him everything comes, including his energy, which is Srimati Radharani. So what is she? She is that pleasure potency of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord, which is love for the Supreme Lord. The technical word is Hladini, the potency of love of God. Hladini means the internal potency of the Supreme Lord. It's a very special word, this Hladini. It comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it's describing the internal workings of the Supreme Lord, and that is Srimati Radharani. The essence of love of God is emotion, bhav, ultimate development of emotion is Mahabhav. So Srimati Radharani is the embodiment of Mahabhav. She possesses this Mahabhav. She's one with Krishna, but she's also separate. And when she's separate, she has got this embodiment of Mahabhav. Bhav means great attachment, great longing. And she has got this Mahabhav, great attachment. Her mind, senses, and body are steeped in love for Krishna. She is Krishna's own energy, and she helps him in his pastimes. So this is one of the principal reasons why Radharani exists actually to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. And the way she gives pleasure to the Lord is beyond our understanding. It's even beyond the understanding of the Supreme Lord who created her, who knows everything. And this is the dynamic nature of the Supreme. If he knew everything, and if he knew what Srimati Radharani was like, and her love for him, and how she interacts with him, if he knew everything completely, then it would be a pretty boring life for him. But there's aspects of Srimati Radharani which he cannot understand, even though he is the Supreme. Doesn't mean that we are demeaning him. Doesn't mean that he's imperfect in any way. He's not. He's perfect in every way. So Srimati Radharani is fully spiritual, as is Krishna. As Krishna, no one should consider her to be material. She's all spiritual. So similarly, Krishna is completely spiritual. His body is completely spiritual. There's no not a tinge of material quality within Sri Krishna. And exactly the same with Srimati Radharani. There's no quality of materialism within Srimati Radharani. Okay, so that's the embodiment of love. Now we want to speak about her qualities as, I suppose, the source, mother, original mother. When we speak of Radha, we're speaking of the energy of Krishna, which is loving Krishna, the energy of God, which is loving God. We are all parts and parcel of God, and we all have the potency to love God. And this is because of Srimati Radharani. Loving God means to be connected to him in bhakti. Bhakti means loving devotional service. And Radharani is the source of this bhakti. So any potency we have to love God comes from Radharani. She gives him great pleasure. Radharani is the ultimate surrendered entity to God. She's part of Godhead, but also she's separate from Godhead. She is the ultimate surrendered entity to God, and we are all ultimately dominated parts and parcels of God who should be surrendering to God. So our business is rendering service or surrendering to Radha Krishna. She is the original mother, because we don't necessarily think of her as mother, because her role is to please Krishna, and her role is not necessarily as husband-wife to Krishna. Their role isn't necessarily husband-wife. They're always together. They're always part of each other. But at the same time, they are separate, and they are performing pastimes between them, which are of a very spiritual nature. And that those pastimes give great pleasure to Krishna as well as Srimati Radharani. So her role as a mother may not necessarily come within those pastimes of Radha and Krishna. But in any case, she is the original mother. There are so many universes, and in every universe, there is a mother of the universe. But Radharani is the original mother. So as Krishna is our father, and Krishna is our mother, and Krishna is our friend, and he's our master. So Radharani is that aspect of Krishna that is our mother. So this is very interesting. Krishna is our mother within Radharani. We cannot separate Radha from Krishna. So when we say Krishna is our mother, we actually saying Radha is our mother. There's no difference. When we pray to Radharani, we must be praying, I am spirit soul. She is my mother. So, expansions of Radharani. So, because Krishna has so many expansions, right? So many avatars, so many different types of incarnations. What about Radharani? Radharani is the perfect original lover of Krishna, although not separate from Krishna. So this is, of course, not easy to understand. How can you be one with and separate at the same time? But this is the Supreme. This is the nature of the Supreme. And it's not so easy to understand. It is beyond our understanding. So it is described that just as Lord Krishna is cause of all incarnations, so Sri Radha is the cause of all the consorts, namely the goddesses of fortune, the queens, the milk maidens of Braj, i.e. the gopis. They all proceed from Srimati Radharani. So Radharani is like the source of Lakshmi, the source of Sita, source of gopis, so source of the queens of like Rukmini and Satyabhama and all of them. She is the original Shakti. She is the original Godhead in terms of looking at the feminine aspects of the Supreme Personality. Another way to describe the goddess of fortune is Lady Luck. The gambler's hope, Lady Luck, is with them. Goddess of fortune, Lady Luck. The goddess of fortune is a partial manifestation of Srimati Radharani. Partial manifestation. And the queens, those who are loving Krishna in the spiritual world as queens, they are described as reflections of Radharani's image. So you can see the potency of Srimati Radharani, amazing potency. The goddesses of fortune are her plenary portions, and they display the forms of Vaibhav Vilas. It explains that there are many manifestations of Srimati Radharani to assist in the Lord's pastimes. In the spiritual world, you find many types of helpers in the pastime of Krishna. In the form of goddesses of fortune, in the form of queens, in the form of consorts. So they all manifest from Srimati Radharani. This is not very well known. Sometimes we can say, because of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita, yes, Krishna is the source of all the incarnations, all the avatars. Hence, he is known as Avatari. But similarly, Srimati Radharani is the source of all the Lakshmis, of all the queens, 16,108 queens of Krishna in Dwarka. She's the source. And she's the source of all the gopis. And there are a lot of gopis. So this is very interesting to understand. So the next aspect is compassion of Srimati Radharani. How kind she is. So, oh yes. So going just a little bit back to the expansion of Radharani. These are all ultimately coming from Radharani. So in Radha, you will find the original, perfect beloved, because the expansions are partial expansions, plenary portions. So they may, they come from Radharani, but they may not fully manifest her qualities. But in Radharani, all of the qualities are fully manifested. Perfect, she is the original perfect beloved. When we speak of Radha, we are speaking of Krishna's original perfect beloved, the perfect beloved of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we speak of Krishna, we're speaking of the supreme enjoyer. So he enjoys everyone. And that includes his incarnations and avatars. For example, his first expansion is Balaram. And what does Balaram do? He serves Krishna. He is the servant of Krishna. And Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. So even Balaram, who is the very first expansion, he is a servitor of Krishna. The supreme enjoyer is enjoying Radha. What is he enjoying? He's enjoying this loving relationship that he's having with Radha. It is love. Why is he attracted to Radha? He's attracted to Radha because of her perfection in her love for Krishna. And her love for Krishna is so deep, so spiritually fulfilled, that it even perplexes the supreme enjoyer. So this is what makes Krishna so sweet. He himself cannot fully grasp the love that Radharani has for him. The love that Srimati Radharani is having for Krishna cannot be separated from the love that she has for all the children of Krishna. This is where this compassion of Srimati Radharani enters the fold. Her love for Krishna cannot be separated from the love she has for all the children of Krishna. As the mother, she loves all of the children of Krishna. So when we approach Srimati Radharani, we have to understand that more than anything else, she wants us to be happy, loving Krishna. This is the compassionate nature of Radharani. She wants to introduce us to Krishna and make it so that we can be actually having Krishna, so that we can be happy. So Srimati Radharani's compassion knows no bound, no limits. It's unlimited compassion. And it's greater than Krishna's compassion. And what can be possibly greater than the Supreme Lord's compassion? Radharani's compassion is greater. Very difficult to comprehend, understand. Because the Supreme Lord is the greatest of all. But yet, Srimati Radharani surpasses him in certain aspects. And this is the glory of the Supreme Lord. He's so humble, he lets Srimati Radharani's quality surpass his. Who worships who? So there's the Radha Upanishad states that the personality whom Sri Krishna worships is known as Radha. And the personality whom Radha worships is known as Krishna. Both worship one another. It's unusual because they're non-different from each other. They're the same person, yet they're different. But because they're the same, it's unusual to understand. It's hard to understand. They worship each other. But we can only understand that on the basis that they're separate from each other as well. And because they're separate from each other, they can worship each other. Radha and Krishna have one intellect, one mind, one soul, and even one face. This is why there's no difference between the two. If somebody thinks there's a difference, it's an offense. It's a different matter altogether that somebody says they are separate from the point of view of nectar and lila. Yeah. So because they're separate, they can have this lila, and that's where Radharani's love or Radharani's qualities in certain aspects can surpass that of Krishna's. Narad Pancharatram states that she is the supreme personality beyond whom there is no other. Rishabhanu's daughter, Radha, is a primordial nature from whom everything comes into being. It is also stated that Krishna's half part is Radha, and Radha's half part is Krishna. Krishna says, I have assumed the form of Radha Radha says, I have assumed the form of Krishna. Radha is saying the form of Krishna is none other than myself. When I assume the male form, people start calling me Krishna. This is because there's no difference between the two. They're together, but when they separate for the point of view of Leela and Nectar, they think of, if one is thinking of Krishna, one is also thinking of Radha. One is thinking of Radha, one is also thinking of Krishna. So this isn't easy to get the head around, right? And if we try to understand this from within our material capacity or intellect, we will never understand it. So how do we understand this? We simply surrender onto Shri Radha and Krishna and beg them, my dear Lord. We know this. Your relationship is incomprehensible, inconceivable, and if you wish, please allow us to understand it. If you think it's for my benefit and will help me on my spiritual journey, please allow me to understand you, how you interact, how you work together, how you love each other, how you do your wonderful leelas together. Srimati Radharani, the source of, okay. Again, Narada Pancharatra states that just as milk and milk's whiteness are the same. So from milk, you can't separate the whiteness, right, from the pure milk. It makes no sense, right? So they're the same in one sense. Milk and the whiteness of that milk are the same. Likewise, Radha and Krishna are the same. The whiteness of milk cannot and should not be separate from milk itself. You just can't do it. It's just like you can't separate heat from fire, right? It's just not possible. If you have fire, you're going to have heat. In the same way, no one can separate milk from the whiteness. So both are the same. Mahalakshmi, the consort of Mahavishnu, the creator of countless universes, is manifested from Radha's left side. Durga, Jayanti, Kali, Bhadrakali, Kapalini, Durga, Shama, Shivdatri, Swaha, Twada, and Vaishnavi are all born from the fractions of Kishoriji. Kishoriji is Radharani. So Mahalakshmi comes to the left side, and all of these other expansions are just a fraction of Radha. Vyasdev states in the Brahma Vivarta Puran, the meaning of the name Radha, the one who fulfills desires of an individual, who sheds a few tears, is known as Radha. So this is important. You know, if we're greedy for Radha's blessings, if we're greedy for her mercy, there has to be some tears. My dear mother, my dear Srimati Radharani, you're the beloved of Krishna. You know him so well. Let me, if you so desire, let me serve you or serve your devotees. Let me be a servant of your servant of your servant. Please, please, please don't throw me away. Don't cast me aside. Please consider me worthy, although I have no qualification whatsoever. First utter the name of Radha, then Krishna. One who does kirtan in this manner attains Golok. Radha's name is uttered first. Hare Krishna. Hare is Radha. No one says Krishna Radha. Everyone says Radha Krishna. Shyam, Shyama Shyam. Radhe Shyam. So, this is the source of Radharani, the emblem of selfless love. These topics of divine and spiritual love between Radha and Krishna will always remain a mystery as long as we remain on the material platform. So this is one of our issues. This is one of our problems and challenges. As long as we are focused on materialism, we won't cross. We won't be able to cross into this Nectarian relationship between Radha and Krishna. As long as we have material desires, as long as we want to enjoy materialism, enjoy the senses, the relationship between Radha and Krishna will remain a mystery. Right? So even if we try hard with our intellect, try to understand this relationship, we won't be able to enter into it. It's very difficult to understand. So if we remain on this material platform, which we are, unfortunately, but we have to endeavor to get out of this get out of this material consciousness that I have this body and everything connected to me I own. If we continue to have that lord it over materialism attitude, then the relationship of within the spiritual world, especially that of Radha and Krishna, we will never understand. So somehow we have to detach ourselves from material desires, material relationships, trying to put every relationship we have on a spiritual basis. Every action that we take, put it on a spiritual basis. Not easy to do because we're living in the material world and we've been living here for a very long time. So how do we change? Right? It's a step-by-step process. It'll take time, but we should know we are on the right path. And because we know we've got this disadvantage of our connection with material consciousness is so strong, we can actually earnestly pray to Radha and Krishna that you know how weak we are, my dear lordships. You know where our situation is. Please, please, please help us. And if tears flow, why will their mercy not also flow? Right? It will flow. Radharani is so compassionate. So yes, as long as we have material consciousness, we're not going to understand them. But in one sense, we can use that disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. Because we can earnestly pray, my dear Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, you know where we are at. You know our weaknesses, and our weaknesses are real. So please, my dear mother and father, please, 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 just have some mercy upon me. Have some tears to bargain with for that mercy. Love on the spiritual platform is devoid of selfishness. So it's selfishness. If we're thinking that, you know, I possess this and I it's mine. Well, we've got a big hurdle to climb over. We're not helping ourselves. The needs and interests of the other take precedence over one's own needs. This is so powerful, so powerful. When we see somebody's in need, you know, it's an honor and it's such a mercy of the Lord if we can somehow feel that pain for that person and do something about it. Very amazing. That attracts the love of Radha and Krishna. The kind of love that comes closest to spiritual love is the love exhibited by a mother towards her child. It is full of sacrifice, completely selfless. It is without expectation, especially when the child is tiny. What do you expect? What does a mother expect from a little 3-month-old child? Nothing. But the mother gives everything. without anything back in return. The feeling of love is derived from the service itself. So the mother, why does she do that? There's nothing, no reward for her. Why does she do that? Because she loves the child. The child is limited in its capacity to reciprocate the mother's love. Even if it increased, even if it increases its demands, the mother keeps on giving. Most of us can only imagine a relationship where the reciprocation of love and service is completely selfless and without expectation. It is the kind of love our hearts hanker for. How would it be if somebody just loved us for who we are without wanting anything in return? Isn't that something amazing? The path of bhakti or devotional service prepares one's heart and consciousness by eradicating selfishness and incorporating selflessness to understand and experience that divine love which exists between Radha and Krishna. Yes, so this path of bhakti is so powerful. Is so powerful because Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktya Mam Vijana, if you want to understand me completely, then perform devotional service. So devotional service comes from Bhakti Devi, and Bhakti Devi is Srimati Radharani. She is the original devotional service, the personification of devotion. What does Prabhupada say about Radha? Without Radha, there's no meaning to Krishna because they're one and the same. And without Krishna, there's no meaning to Radha. Because of this, the Vaishnava philosophy, first of all, pays obeisances to and worships the internal pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. Thus, the Lord and his potency are always referred to as Radha and Krishna. Anyone who comes before Radharani to serve Krishna, oh, she becomes so pleased. Oh, here is a devotee of Krishna. She immediately recommends, oh, Krishna, here is a devotee. This is Radharani. We may not be devotees. We may be fallen souls. But if I try to reach Krishna through Radharani, then my business is successful. When we say business, of course, it's bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada this is in his Radhastami lecture, 1973, London. Once Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was asked, how can one receive the complete mercy of Sri Krishna? He answered, when Srimati Radharani accepts someone as our own, then only is the full mercy of Krishna accessible to him. So this is a powerful prayer. And every morning, every time we do Aarti, and after Aarti, of course, Aarti means we are being grateful, thankful to the Lord for everything he does. So after we finish the prayer to Srimati Radharani, please consider me your own. I am a fool, I know that. But consider me your own. Consider me your dog. Don't consider me an outsider. And this is where tears are important. Don't consider me to be an outsider. Please don't reject me. Please consider me your own. And every day that prayer, at least we say once to her, every single day, she may hear that prayer. She will hear that prayer. She just got to hear that prayer once, and that's enough. Bhagavatam and Radha. The Srimad Bhagavatam is predominantly the story of Lord Krishna. Okay, Radha is not mentioned anywhere within it. How can that be? How can that be? Although Radha's name is not explicitly mentioned in the Bhagavatam, it is Radha that is present in it. Bhagavatam is Radharani. Why? Because Bhagavatam principally discusses bhakti yoga, devotional service. Radharani is bhakti yoga. Bhagavatam is saturated with Radha because Bhagavatam is principally a scripture of devotion, meaning Radha. So somebody may read the Bhagavatam and think Radharani's name is not in there. But the understanding may not be complete because Radharani is saturated throughout the Bhagavatam. This is a scripture of bhakti. Bhagavatam is the literal form of Radha and Krishna and is the life and soul of it. Sorry, Bhagavatam is the literal form of Krishna and Radha is the life and source of it, soul of it. This is a simple reason why Srimad Bhagavatam feels so powerful and effective when we listen or narrate it. Bhagavatam is so powerful. Our previous chat has explained two reasons why Radha's name is not openly stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, yes, maybe Radharani is named not in the Bhagavatam, but she is in the Bhagavatam right throughout it. However, there are reasons why her name may not appear. So, what are the reasons? The Katha is being narrated by Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. And the Guru, the teacher of Sukadev Goswami, is Srimati Radharani. How is that? Because we know actually the Guru of Sukadev Goswami is his father, Vyasdev, or Narad Muni even. But if we go beyond this material world and go to the spiritual world, once Sukadev Goswami was in the form of a green parrot in a leafy bower, Nikunj, where Radha Krishna were on a stroll in the spiritual world. Seeing the parrot uttering Radhe, Radhe, Radha affectionately approached the parrot. The parrot flew and rested on Radha's hand. Radha stroked him and said, Sukha, not Radhe, Radhe, chant Krishna, Krishna. This way, Radha herself initiated Sukadev. Now, as a sign of respect, a disciple will not utter his or her guru's name. This is why, whilst chanting the Katha, Sukadev Goswami does not explicitly mention Radha's name. He states it indirectly in the form of Shri, Shrimat, Shri Bhagwan. For example, Shri Bhagwan says Shri means Radha. Shri Bhagwan says Shri means Radha. So the second reason, Sukadev Goswami will go into a trance on merely listening to Radha's name, let alone saying it. So if he said Radha's name, the Bhagavatam would never have been spoken because he would have just gone into a trance. If Sukadev Goswami enters a trance, then who will relate the entire Bhagavad Gita to King Parikshit to provide him salvation when he has only 7 days left to live? For this reason, Sukadev Goswami did not speak about Radha directly, although he did mention the word Aradhita, indicating her name. Anaya Radhito Nam Bhagavan Haririshwara Yanno Vihaya Govinda Pritoyam Anayadraha. In the translation of that, which is the 10th chapter, 30th verse 28, sorry, 10th canto, 30th verse 28 chapter, verse. Certainly this particular gopi, that's Radharani, has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda. Since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. So, this is Bhagavatam. Srimati Radharani ki jai. Any questions, any comments?
Prabhu, one thing that wasn't clear to me when you said Vaishnavi is a fraction of Radha. So Vaishnavi, are you referring to Durga Ma?
Yeah.
Oh, so fraction is not expansion, is it? It's like a
Expansion, same thing, but it's a partial expansion. It's a small
Okay.
Part of Radha, which expands. Mahalakshmi is like a plenary portion. So plenary portion is like a not a direct expansion, but is a very powerful expansion. Uh,
Oh.
yeah. But whatever comes from Radha is very powerful, right?
uh,
Whatever comes from Radha is very powerful. So even a fraction of her mercy is very powerful.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Naniben, we can't hear you. Um, yes, Prabhaben.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Hope you had nice holidays.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, I did miss quite a lot of it. I've just come on and I
Mm.
put the Zoom on. I heard the last bit, which it says when you say Srimad Bhagavad says Sri means Radha.
Yeah. Shri is the feminine aspect of Godhead. Yes.
So,
Shriji. She's known as Shriji in Varsana. They
person,
don't call her Radha. They call her
Radha.
Shriji.
But every time when you say
Hmm.
Jai Shri Krishna or
Mm.
anything with the Sri,
Yes.
it will like Jai Sri Swaminarayan,
Yeah, that's right.
and it comes as still the Radha. It means Radha.
It means, yeah, the female aspect of Godhead. Correct.
All right. It's nice to know. It's very
Yeah.
nice to know. Because every time we say Jai Shri Krishna, but
Yes,
we just say Jai Shri Krishna. But Krishna we says, but we're not thinking about Sri. So Sri
Mm.
means Radha, and
That's it. That's it.
it says Radha Krishna.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
It's like
thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. When we do the mantra Hare Krishna, Hare is
Yeah,
Radha.
yeah. Hare is Radha. Right. Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I have to listen this again. I missed yesterday one. No, yesterday was not here, no.
No, Friday we did. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to listen all of them again.
Thank
And
you.
we did miss the satsang.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Naniben, we can't hear you. Actually, maybe no. That's okay. So let's finish unless there's any other questions or comments. No. Okay. Now, what's happening here? For some reason, I can't shut this down. So let me do one thing. Okay, I'm going to just stop it. Radha Krishna Bhagavan ki jai.